Hey everybody, welcome to Board Online, Board Offline. Today we have another video from another channel. These are the Legends of Nerdvana. 3 people who are working their way through a 3,000 game collection, and then, if I know gamers, adding more to that collection before they finish working their way through it. So we're going to bring you a video from them. We've got several videos from them coming up in the future. Hope you enjoy them. Click on the link in the description below to go check out their YouTube channel. Here we go.
Hello everyone, today we got to play Hallertau. This is a progressive worker placement game with a little bit of engine building, some card variation, and also player building, except your player board is actually your city hall.
Big farming game.
Yeah, so it is a farming game. So it is a medium to heavy game in our viewpoint. It does say it's an expert level. I think right off the bat it is very intimidating. But so before we get into the game, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you'd like to see some more of our work. We would love to have you at our table again later. So tell us more about this game, Robert.
So this came out in 2020. I got it in 2021. I think it was delayed a little bit in release. So the Hallertau released 2020. BGG, pretty good score, 8.2. Designer Uwe Rosenberg, pretty big name in the board game world. Art by Lucas Siegman and Clemens Franz. MSRP, it's a little pricey. It's $80, $79.99.
I'm not too surprised by
But I'm not either. You get a lot of
the
bits.
lookout games of UA are always pretty expensive. So
yeah, I'm not surprised by that price point. All right, so let's get into quality of pieces. So you do have a bunch of wooden chits. All of them are shaped appropriately. Like you have little meat, little bricks, little wheat and barley and hops. So all of them are shaped. I like that.
except for the workers. The workers are little square cubes.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there on that part.
I don't mind it though, because the board's got so much stuff that I think if you had minis or something else, it might be too busy.
Well, they could have put a little square cube working in the field on the box. That would have drawn you in.
I don't think so. Okay.
Anyway.
So card quality, it's okay. There's no linen finish or anything like that, but they're all right.
It's decent thickness.
Yeah, you don't shuffle them heavily. It's just at the very beginning, so that's not too bad. The player board's cardboard, I think it's adequate for what you get.
And you get a lot of it.
You get a lot of everybody gets like 4 boards.
Yeah.
So
it's a table hog. You're going to need a big table. We played with side auxiliary tables.
And that was with 3. I don't even know if auxiliary tables would have been enough if Dwight played too.
Yeah. So I do think there's a little bit of caveat with it. I think you get a lot for your money. And I think all of it's okay quality. Is there anything spectacular? No, but I think it's pretty solid. So I'm going to give this a 7. What is your guys' thoughts?
I agree. Because the amount of stuff that you get, I think it compensates a little bit for maybe a lack of innovation to the pieces. So, but I agree. I think 7's a good score.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too, is a 7. I mean, there's just a ton of pieces, and whenever you're getting one of these games, you're not expecting the high end pieces. It's just you're just getting a lot of stuff.
You're getting a lot of stuff that works, so it's all very functional.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to theme. Obviously, this is a farm building game. You have sheep and that you can shear, or that you can gain meat from,
or milk,
or
leather.
Let them
die.
Oh yeah.
Let's not do that. That's not the goal of the game, unless you're going to eat them. All right, and then you're also building your community center.
Too.
Your community center. You have crops that you're getting over time that they grow, so there's a lot of cool things thematically that work, and I do think it incorporates into the theme as well. For example, your farms. So you have plots of fields that start at different levels, and then when you use a field,
you got a field that looks like this.
Yes. So it may start at a 5. So if you plant something here, at the end of the round, it goes down. But if it lays empty, then it goes up 1. So I think that is actually really cool.
Really cool element to the game. I think it's pretty unique. I haven't seen many games that do that. It's just a really neat element to the game.
Yeah.
You want to hear the story?
Sure.
In the 16th century, the Bavarian city of Ingolstadt had paved the way towards the Reinheitsgebot law for beer that was adopted in all German states in the 19th century. Not only did this law dictate the ingredients, but also the sales price of beer. Today, the Hallertau region, south of Ingolstadt, is the biggest hops producing area in Germany, priding itself upon being the first place in Middle Europe to cultivate hops. This game is set around 1850, the time that made the Hallertau region what it is today. Immerse yourselves as a chief of a small village in the Hallertau region. Provide the local craftsmen with the goods they require by cultivating crops, breeding sheep, and literally playing your cards right. In the end, the player who best develops their village wins.
Yeah. So, guys, give theme a score. What do you guys think?
I think it's a pretty strong theme. I mean, I think everything incorporates well. The artwork is really nice. I love the artwork of the cards, the artwork of the boards. Everything works really well. I'm going to give it 8.5.
Yeah, I like an 8.5. I really think it's because that the theme is incorporated in a lot of game mechanics, and it really pulls it through. So I enjoy that.
I'm more of an 8 on it, I think. I mean, I like the art of the house. I love the different art on the boards.
Mm-hmm.
The components take it down for me as far as they're just blah. There's nothing to them. And,
but that should be with quality of pieces. I don't know.
well,
if that should
no,
be
it's not the quality of them. It's just there's I mean, there's just nothing to them. The cards are all iconography. There's no real art involved in them except for on the back.
Except for the cover.
It's just, I mean, it's an 8. I mean, 8 is 8.5. It's not that big of a difference.
No, totally. All right, so moving on to rules. I think this is where we had a really big issue, although there was some saving grace in the cheat sheets.
Right.
So,
Randy, what'd you think of the rules?
They weren't bad. There was a few times we struggled and had to reread a few
It was
things.
more of the translation, I think, is the real issue.
There were some... Yeah, it wasn't great, but it wasn't horrible. I mean...
Except for the board setup. And we really had a big issue with the board setup.
Yeah, we had... it took a while to figure out... that was at the very beginning. I forgot about that. One major hole in the rules.
It was huge.
Because the way it stated the rules, it told you to put cubes on every space on the board to start the game. And then it said... basically add more cubes, which would make this game uber hard at the beginning. But really what you're supposed to do is start with no cubes and add cubes to certain spaces. But then to top it off, they had a picture that showed every space having a cube on it. And then, to make it even worse, the last statement was, in a 4-player game, have no cubes on the board at all. So it contradicted everything about the
picture and what it said earlier.
So it was completely confusing. And that one section, apart from that, though, the rules were pretty good.
Oh, okay. See, I didn't know that.
No, that was a huge one, though, because we had to go online and look, and there was a whole bunch of confusion back and forth, people talking about it, and they were all not in agreement. Once, finally we got the consensus, and it was like, okay, this is what we thought it meant from the beginning, but why on earth they phrased it the way they did? It didn't make any sense.
Yeah. I think another big thing is the cheat sheets. I think the cheat sheets were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, so you got iconography on one side and everything in text on the back, which is really useful.
That pulled it up for me. It was a dry read. It was very lengthy.
Which is pretty standard for an Ube game.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think it was as complex as an expert level as some of the other games.
I think Feast for Odin.
I think Feast for Odin's heavier than this.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to give them an 8 just because they pulled it up really big with the cheat sheets. I mean, it took us a while to get through the rules, but when Miranda came in here, we taught her in like 5 minutes.
That's because the cheat sheet.
Because the cheat sheet was so good.
Right.
Yeah. So in other words, just read the cheat sheet.
It's good.
So I agree with you. Sure. I love the cheat sheet. I thought it was perfect. I was able to know what I was doing just with that cheat sheet alone. So therefore, total win for me. I approve. So moving on to gameplay. So there is a lot going on this game. We're going to go very brief overview though, because it is more of a heavier game. Basically, on your
you
player
start the
board,
turn with flipping a card.
Right. Well, right. Well, we're just gonna...
but I think that's one of the unique elements of this game. I think that's one of the reasons why I like it, because everybody places the workers on the board, and there's too many to discuss all the different actions that are available. But you place your workers, and then at the beginning of the next round, you clean some of those workers off by flipping these cards.
If you're playing 2 or 3
players. 2 to 3 player. And so 4-player, you don't.
No, in
So-
4-player, you just take off one
yeah.
from each section. One row.
Yeah.
But I really like this element of the game. I just wanted
Yeah.
to bring that up. I thought it was cool.
Yeah. So the start of the game actually is you get your workers based on what level your community center is at. It starts at 6 and goes all the way up to 12. And you do that by moving these, the brew house, cooling, bake house, different craft houses is what they're called, across the board. And you have to do that by moving the rocks with tools and things like that. So there's a lot going on with this. And
Just that one board.
Just that one board. And to get those pieces, basically, you have to farm. And to do that, that's where the actual board comes in. So you get your workers, you place on the thing, you gain sheep. You can change your sheep to meat or you get thread, or you change milk. So you can get milk, and you try to get brick as well. You plant farms and you plant fields, and so there's so many things that you can do with your workers. You can also get cards. Now the card components are very cool. So you have some end of game scoring. You have some income building that you can possibly do. You also just get, hey, you have this, you get this, or you pay this and you get that. So there's also those cards. So there is a lot going on with this that is pretty nifty, I think. And then I think the other big component is the round spaces for your other board for your fields. So as you can see that there are 6 different sections on this board. At the beginning of the game, they're actually covered with 6 cards. And so as each round goes, you take a card, place your workers on that, and when all the workers are played, then you get that card. But the thing is that if you have sheep on those and you remove the card and the sheeps are still there,
They're dead.
They meet their maker. Okay, so they move on to other pastures that are not yours. So I think that's a cool element to it, and especially because you get sheep and it goes to round 4. So it's not like you're immediately going to use them, like you have to move them in one round. You basically have 3 rounds, because if you're in round 2, they go to round 5. So you have 3 rounds to get them further on and get them back to where you can get victory points from them at the bottom. So I think that was actually a pretty neat element. So there is a timing factor to this that I really appreciate.
And Miranda mentioned moving your community center over and spending all those resources. That progressively gets more expensive as well.
Very expensive.
Your round board will tell you how many goods you have to spend, and the board itself tells you what goods you are able to spend to be able then to progress that. And then, as you mentioned, use tools to move boulders, which will block your progress if you don't get them moved.
Yeah.
That's the one piece that I struggle with on the theme. I just don't understand the concept. I like the mechanic of it, but I don't understand why thematically you're moving your building slightly to the right. To me, it felt like it was the climber game from Price is Right, where it's like, and they're just like eventually going to fall off the cliff, like the buildings.
So here's what I think it is. It's actually more of how many resources you can put through the different industries. And as you put more resources through the different industries, your community grows.
Yeah, and you got rocks in the way of that growth, so you got to remove the rocks so you can make bigger buildings.
Right.
But they're not getting bigger, they're just moving.
Well, it's more like
thematically they're getting bigger. Because you're spending more, so it takes more to do what you need to do.
Well, I would agree if there was like underneath this board, there was more house. That would have made more sense. But it's just trees. So you're actually physically just moving the building further to the right. And
you're making this absolutely complicated.
I just didn't understand the thematics of that.
Yeah, well, I mean,
mechanically, I like it. It was a neat concept. I just didn't thematically make sense to me.
What was your favorite part of the game, do you think, with gameplay?
I really like I like the fact that there's, like a lot of Uwe games, there's a lot of variety to the game. So we set up 4 decks. There's more decks than what we're able to play with. So I think this game's got a lot of room to grow and a lot of variety. And I think it would be a good time to discover all the different things that you're able to do with the different card play of the game.
Yeah, I'm scared that we're only going to play this the one time.
I'm scared of that too, because there's like 3,000 games that we have to play.
I can tell you that's probably not going to happen because I enjoyed it enough that I'm probably going to eventually want it. So
yeah, that means he's going to buy it. So.
Well, that doesn't mean we're going to play it. It just means that he's going to buy it. So
Well, I'll have to play it at least 4 times because I have to try each deck. and it does specify clearly in the rules you're not intended to mix the cards.
Right.
The cards are clearly
You
designed
can,
to
but
be
you're
4
not
separate
supposed to.
decks. So
Yeah.
it's not like Agricola where you can take all the
Mix
decks
and
and
match.
mix them. And
yeah. What was your favorite piece of the game?
I, of course, like the engine building. That's what I always like. And I like
Right.
in-game scoring as well. But I particularly enjoyed the fact that you completed one thing, it gave you cards that
do
allowed you
something
to do
else.
the inventory, or not inventory,
The income.
and produce things for future. But they also give you victory points.
Right.
And then there was the pure victory point cards when you paid it out, which I think competitively could keep up to some extent with the house building. I still think this is a little overly powerful.
There's massive
But it's
points
like-
for upgrading
But
your
it's
house.
very, very hard. I mean, I
Yeah.
was working my butt
Well,
off
I
for
know,
that
but
sucker.
it to me it makes it where you almost have to go this strategy in order to win, from what I saw, because the victory point bonus for doing this was super high.
If you're able to max out the community center, you get 70 victory points.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that. I couldn't finish it. I was short one resource,
Pretty
which
darn
pissed
close.
me off. Literally, one resource. That's it. And I had other
So how many resources were you short?
One.
Yeah.
One. Okay, I had a completionist issue. Like, I was determined. Like, I didn't care what I scored. I just wanted to finish the thing.
By the way, she kicked our butts.
What were the points though? Let's
uh,
talk
50,
about that.
It's 59, 79, 100.
So for a scoring point wise, yeah, 70 points is pretty
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And I don't think there's any way you can go with the strategy of just pursuing bonus cards.
I don't know about
Because
that.
you won't
I
have
think-
enough workers if you don't develop it at all. You've got to at least put in the minimum.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
keeping
Because
up with
if
the
you left at
Joneses.
6, you would not be able to get
Yeah.
very far
You
off.
have to
That's
keep up
true.
with the Joneses. You've got to at least step them up one every round.
And then not only that, you'd have a lot less options because the other people would be able to fill them up more.
Right.
Because they have more people.
Right.
Right. I mean, I can see. Well, but at some point though, it stops. Right. So once you hit 12, you can't advance any more workers
Yeah.
than that. Anyway.
I didn't think it was a huge disadvantage me having 10 workers to your 12. I didn't
I
think
don't
that
either,
was a huge
because
difference.
I was at 10 as well.
But-
and I felt like
but
I
I
got
think
to do
I
more.
had to do that.
I felt like I got to do a lot of the stuff I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I just didn't do it
I
very
just
well.
think you have to do the bare minimum and keep it moving.
Yeah.
But the problem is I don't think there's enough points if somebody does complete this that you could possibly win.
I do if you're lucky enough, because you had a lot of 10-point cards. I didn't have any.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why I scored so low, is because I had a lot of points on cards, but they're all 3s and
Mhm.
4s. I didn't have anything above 4. You guys had 6s and 7s and 10s, and
Well,
I didn't have any.
I will say this though. I mean, yeah. So I didn't get the 70. I got the 50. So another 50 some of my points were cards based.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I played heavily on the cards. Like the first 2 rounds, the second round, remember I played like 25. I mean, I played
she
like bam, 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 bam.
totally
I was
blew us
able-
over in cards.
I
in
was-
one turn. It was crazy.
Yeah, I was able to chain them.
Yeah.
Where once I triggered one, I was able to trigger like 5 or 6, which then get me 5 or 6 of the other cards, which, because I had so much resources at that point, because I triggered everything, I was able to lay down. So I do
Rob
think
and I hated you that turn.
Yeah. And to some degree, that's where the luck's going to play out, because you really got some good cards at the right time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think there's a little bit of play there that, depending on your
Mhm.
cards, depending the way you play, because like the first round, I didn't get anything played, but I was gathering so many resources that by the time the second round happened, I was able to go
Right.
bam, like full blown bam. So I think there is something to be said. I think cards matter.
They do.
Yeah.
And I don't think we've paid enough, during this discussion, I don't think we've paid enough on those cards.
I felt like I did. That's the only way I got points.
I paid attention to my cards. It's just that my cards didn't
Well, I
work
meant during
well
this
together.
review.
Right.
Yeah.
But my cards didn't play well together. And whereas your cards did play really well together. And I think that was a small factor. There's not a lot of ways to mitigate that card draw that you get. It's not like you can draw a bunch, pick some, and bury the rest. You
Right.
get what you get.
Yeah, you do, and that
And just you hope that you got stuff that works out well for you.
you're right. Well, and I think like I got one card that allowed me to have an income of a card.
Right.
Holy moly, that was
Hokey cow.
Yeah, it was totally worth it. I had to give up 3 cards that were already in my hand.
But
it
it's
was
ones you didn't really need or want. And
well,
it's like,
they didn't mesh well.
right.
And I was like, well, I'll just forgo these. Because
And
they were
that-
end of game scoring. And I was like, I doubt I'm going to have these resources anyway. And then I got those, and I was like, bam, scored. So that
It
really
was
helped
pretty
me.
cool. That's
Yeah.
a nice card.
I think that's the thing, though. I think there's a lot in this game to where you can talk about it afterwards about
I
a
agree.
particular game, and that's something. It's so in role playing, it's something I really do miss about reminiscing about games, because a lot of times we play games and it was like, okay, we played a game, but was it interesting enough to
That we
talk
want to talk about it.
later about that specific game? And I think this has some of that, which I love, guys.
I do too. It's a great game.
Score it. Let's give it a score.
You go first.
I would probably go with an 8.5. Only I probably would have given it a 9 had I not felt like that building, moving the building, was so much more powerful than the rest of it. I don't like that because I really think it should be a balance where you can pursue multiple strategies and still win. So I would probably have given this a 9 otherwise, because I really enjoyed the game.
You know what? I almost want to play it and not focus that and see if I can still beat you.
I'm going to go a 9. I enjoyed it a lot. I think it's got a lot of neat elements, and there's so much more to discover in this game. So I really, that's why I want to give it a little bit of a higher score, just because it might be even better. We don't know.
Yeah, I agree with it. I think it's a 9. I had a lot of fun, and like I said, I could talk about it later, and I enjoyed that. So, all right, well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We had a blast and hope you did too. Hopefully, hey, who knows, maybe you find a game that you were going to pick up a little bit later. Well, hope to see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.